The other day, we discussed about Saddha, the subject of Saddha, which is the first of the 5 limbs of striving, both from the theoretical and practical aspects. Perhaps yogis have understood quite a lot about this subject. The reason why he has to deal with this subject is that if one does not have faith, or does not believe in the practice, and also even if one has faith, one's faith is not strong enough, then there will be no zeal to undertake the practice. Thus, one will not exert energy in order to practice this highly beneficial discipline of the way of mindfulness, so that one will not be able to activate this mindfulness sufficiently to give rise to deep level of concentration and be able to cultivate insight, knowledge. Therefore, he feels it necessary to explain this subject in more detail, both from the theoretical and practical aspects, in order to awaken this saddha in the yogi's mind. Now, in the Buddha's dispensation, Buddha Sasana, saddha and panya are 2 crucial mental states. Now, as for saddha, it is like a good companion, and panya is like a good guide. So in this regard, it will be inspiring for the yogis to hear about the incidents which took place during the Buddha's time, when one Deva, posed this question to the enlightened one. And if this can be explained, it will be more inspiring for the yogis. One Devata posed this question to the enlightened one. Kinsi Dutiya Purisasa Hoti. Here Purisasa means not only, normally it means man, but here also we can take it as human, so we can take it as person. What is a good companion for a person? That is the question asked by this Devata. So Buddha answered this question like this. The companion, a good companion of someone, a person, Purisasa, in this case someone or person, is none other than saddha, faith and confidence. Now here, Purisasa, someone or person, is not an ordinary one. It is someone who is bent, or who is intending towards good destinies. Good destinies, actually, he or she wants to attain Nibbana, which is the real peace, free from suffering of old age, disease and death. So, for such a person, a good companion is none other than saddha, faith and confidence. So such a person is inclined towards the realization of total liberation from existential suffering. Therefore, this kind of saddha is not just ordinary, mediocre saddha. It is pure, blameless one. And as for those blameworthy saddha, it is not based on this cause-effect linkage, not on a rational basis, and it is kind of a conventional or traditional faith, a blind one. Such kind of faith is known as blameworthy faith, such as worshipping and and praying to the non-human beings, devas, so as to be saved by them, or approaching the Brahmas, praying to them to be saved by the Brahmas, or believing in rites and rituals, such as if one goes to the Ganges river and bathe in it, all the sins will be washed away. Or if one sits or stays under 5 kinds of heat, surrounded by 4 fires, four kinds of fire, and the sun, blazing sun, that is 5 kinds of heat. If one bakes in the heat like this, surrounded by 5 kinds of fire, one believes that one's kilesas will all dry up and so on. Such rites and rituals. Believe in such rites and rituals. Such things are blind, unreasonable faith. Blameworthy faith. Here we talk about anavajja saddha. That means blameless faith and confidence. Faith on the things worthy of faith, sadhya vatu, such as the Buddha. Now the Buddha is an individual who has accumulated all of spiritual perfections, beginning with the perfection of generosity, dana, having practiced by himself, and being able to uproot all kilesas to the point of no return and realize omniscient knowledge, sabhinyuta jnana. That is the Buddha. This is the individual, the Buddha, which is worthy of faith. Now, as for the Dhamma, the teachings. Teachings are those doctrines which, if practiced, will uplift the practitioner, not degrade or lower the status of the practitioner. And then the Sangha, community of monks, disciples. Those are the individuals who practiced who practice the 3 trainings of Sila Samadhi Panya in order to overcome defilements such as craving, aversion and delusion. Such are the things worthy of faith, sadhya vatu. And also belief in karma and karma result, that good begets good, bad begets bad, and there is such a thing as existence. So these are the things worthy of faith, and having faith or believing in these things which are worthy of faith is the blameless kind of saddha. This is what is meant here. Now, out of all these things which are worthy of faith, the immediate thing that you should believe in is karma and karma result, which is very important at this moment. Now, you can accept that if you transgress or practice wrong thought, words and deeds, they will lead to bad results. Just like taking poisons, if you take poison, it will be harmful and dangerous. If you take unwholesome food, it is going to be harmful. You believe that, this is your basic acceptance. And another way is accepting that the good thought, word and deed will lead to good results, such as purity, become blameless, affable, and graceful. It gives good results. Just like if you take wholesome food, you are bound to have good result in the form of health, strength, and the satisfaction of hunger. So, pure thought, word and deed, as much as you practice that, you are bound to gain good results. Now, this is the kind of saddha that you should have faith, you should believe in. So this immediate acceptance, concept of karma and karma result is good enough for the practicing yogis at this moment. Now, Buddha also in his times, whenever some people approached him, because they belonged to other denominations, he would begin with the basic concept of this karma and karma result. That is, good. If you do good, you get good result. If you do bad, you get bad result. So long as one is grounded in basic training precept, conduct, then it is possible to be able to advance to the practice of the way of mindfulness, satipatthana. So for the practicing yogis, since some of them belong to other denominations, it is sufficient so long as they can accept this concept of karma and karma result. If by knowing or believing that if one takes harmful food, then it is bound to be harmful, it is bound to give harmful result. So by knowing that or believing that, one abstains from taking this kind of food, no harm will come to that person. So also, knowing that this wrong thought, word and deed can lead to bad result, unwholesome result, like one's conduct will become blameworthy, impure, violent, wild, gross, and harmful. Knowing that if one abstains from performing these things, then there will be no harm. No harm will come to that person. So believing also that if you take nutritious food, good food, wholesome food, knowing that you take that food, that it is beneficial, then you are bound to get the benefit by taking that food in terms of health and strength and the satisfaction of hunger. So this is the kind of concept that if you perform blameless, pure thought, word and deed, by thought, word and deed, then you will be cultured, graceful and affable. So if one practices like that, one is bound to gain positive result. So this is the kind of basic acceptance that you should have. And if you have this basic acceptance in a small way and practice in a small way, you are bound to get result in a small way. If you practice much, you will get much benefit, and if you practice fully, you are bound to gain full benefit. So if you practice in this way, for the basics successfully, then you are bound to be uplifted, not lowered in your status, in your quality. So this kind of concept is quite useful in whatever task you undertake. So basically, if one possesses this kind of saddha, then one will abstain from unwholesome deeds, so that one will be free from harm and danger. And by commissioning, that means doing good deeds, and omitting or not doing, abstaining from unwholesome deeds, one is bound to get good result. For example, if one wants to fulfill another's need, because somebody else is in need of something and you want to fulfill his or her need, then once you satisfy this need, then the person who receives it will become happy, and in this way you are said to have helped that person by satisfying his or her need. So you have to begin like this, in this way. This is a very simple practice of giving, of generosity. So if you give away based on loving kindness and compassion, metta karuna. Then, because you have love, unconditional love, you are free from greed. There's no attachment to your property that you are giving away. And you will not be overcome, or you will not have this extreme greed, greed and hatred, which will harm you and which will defile you and harm others. So there will be no greed and hatred, gross form of greed and hatred, to defile yourself and harm others. So in this way, if you practice like this, because all your deeds are based on loving kindness and compassion, you will abstain from these, you will be able to uphold these training precepts, the basic training precepts, abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, telling lies, and so on. So, because you are giving away, you have no attachment to the property that you are giving away. So there will be no lobha. You are said to be reducing the greed. Greed will be reduced, weakened. And because you are giving away with metta karuna, there will be no aversion, anger, ill will. So your dosa is weakened. And you are only doing it for the good of others, and you will not be doing any harm to others, so that you will not tell lies, there will be no sexual misconduct, and so on. You will be able to sustain these training precepts. This is the basic human conduct, not to defile yourself and not to harm others. So, in this way, there will be also this sympathetic feeling, compassionate feeling. With sympathetic feeling, you will be able to be tolerant and be able to forgive easily, and you will not try to win over others. And in this way, you are protecting others by sympathetic feeling. By protecting others, you are not harming yourself. You are not defiling yourself at the same time. In this way, you will be able to perform skillful deeds very easily, which is much better than material gifts, giving away material things. This is a spiritual gift, non-harming as a gift to the world, not defiling yourself, at the same time not harming others. This is a wholesome deed, and this is a spiritual gift, non-harming as a gift to the world. It's better than the material gift. So, on top of that, if you are able to practice the restraint of your mind with the practice of Satipatthana, calming your mind, concentrating your mind in order to cultivate insight, pure and noble, then your saddha also increase by leaps and bounds until you are able to practice to realize the peace of Nibbana, and at that time your saddha will become unshakable. So this is the basic concept of karma and karma results, that good begets good, and if you do bad, you're bound to get bad results, and this gives you in good stead in developing this saddha. So you're working towards good results with the practice of mundane skillful deeds, lokiya kusalas. And also this will be very supportive and helpful in performing mundane wholesome deeds as well as supramundane skillful deeds, that you are bound to get benefits both mundane wise and spiritual wise. So this will be very supportive for you to reach good destinies, sugatas, And then you'll be able to practice this sadha very easily. And then also practice to be free from existential suffering if you are able to undertake this practice of Satipatthana fully. And the root cause is saddha, faith and confidence. Having this saddha as your true companion, which is very supportive in the mundane and supramundane results. So that's why the Buddha said that the saddha is a good companion, a true companion for one who is inclined towards reaching sukhati, good destinies, and the liberation from suffering. Hence this Buddha's statement that saddha is the true companion. So if one is able to practice this saddha, understanding the significance of this mental state, then it will be very effective to sustain one's training precepts, sila, so that one is not defiled. At the same time, one does not harm others, and instead one protects others. This is the basic human culture. Let us say, by understanding that one's physical verbal conduct give rise to unwholesome, unskillful results, one abstains from transgressing by body and speech, then one is not defiled. At the same time, others are not harmed, others are protected. This is the real culture, giving non-harming as a gift to the world. You are sustaining, not defiling yourself. You are upholding your precepts, restraining yourself, and at the same time not harming others. So there will be no fear. People can live without fear. And people can live with faith and confidence. This is a real culture. So for that, this saddha is basic towards these results. So believing that one should practice sila, sikha, the training precepts, one abstains from unskillful deeds by word and deed, by word and physically and verbally, then one will be free from these transgressive forms of defilements, vitakama, kilesas, so that for the first step, one is uplifted, and at the same time others are not harmed. There's no fear, there will be fearlessness in others. This is accomplishing two things at the same time. Because by sustaining the precepts, by restraining yourself, by restraining your physical and verbal deeds, verbal actions, you are protecting others. So in this way, as I said, guard the mind all the time with vigilant mindfulness of every arising. Then every arising will be rising, falling, and so on. If you are able to activate your mindfulness and giving rise to levels of concentration, just imagine at that time, can there be any obsessive defilements in your mind? There cannot be. So this is one way of freedom from the medium grade of defilements. In this way, for the second time, you are said to be uplifted, and at the same time you are not protecting others. So you are not harming others at the same time. So that there will be no thoughts even of stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and so on, mentally. So in this way, you are uplifted as a second step. So, because you are not even harming in your mind, no thoughts of harming others in the mind, no thoughts of committing unwholesome deeds in your mind, how wonderful it is going to be. Besides being pure physically and verbally, you are now mentally pure. So, as I said, with physical and verbal purity, you are already beautiful, but on the beauty, if you have mental purity, grace, you become more graceful. It is adding gracefulness to beauty. How wonderful it's going to be. So, in this way, you are cultivating yourself mentally, at the same time protecting others mentally. The root cause lies in this wholesome mental state of saddha. So furthermore, if you are able to cultivate insight knowledge, seeing, discerning the mind and body, and the conditioned phenomena that our mind and body are conditioned, then you will come to accept that things arise due to cause, and you will be able to overcome the view of causelessness and also the view, fictitious cause view. Once you are able to go one step further, that is the comprehension of the universal characteristics of existence, such as the nature of impermanence and so on, then you will be able to overcome your concept of permanence, concept of satisfactoriness, and concept of self. So, because you are able to cultivate knowledge, you are awakened to Panya, Megha Panya, Phala Panya, and Nibbana. In this way, you are said to be free from the latent tendencies of defilements. Because you have knocked out, you are free from these latent tendencies. You are neither obsessive, let alone do unwholesome deeds by body and speech. That's because you are cultivating this Panya Sekha, the wisdom training. So with this wisdom training, you are said to be uplifted for the third time. As a third stage, you are uplifted, and at the same time you are protecting others. So you are said to be cultured by thought, word and deed, and at the same time you are protecting others. So this is the practical, pragmatic human culture. The root cause lies in the saddha, the basic concept of karma and karma result, which gives rise to mundane and supramundane consequences, positive consequences. So in this way, saddha becomes a good companion for one to abstain from unskillful deeds so as not to realize unskillful results, and to follow the beneficial path to be able to reap the benefits. So this kind of concept will lead to the beneficial result. And in this way also, one can strengthen one's knowledge of reasoning, the power of reasoning. So that the power of reasoning in that if one abstains from unsuitable things which are not suitable, inappropriate things, and only practice or follow a beneficial and suitable path, so that one is bound to reap the good benefit. In this way, one will be able to distinguish between what is beneficial and what is not, and follow the right path and abstain from wrong path. If one follows the wrong path, one is bound to reach wrong destination. Instead, if one follows the right path, one is bound to reach the right destination. Therefore, this questioner, the Devada, was convinced about this saddha, as the basic conduct, basic companion, and leading to the practice of the three trainings, Sila Samadhi Panya, so that one will only realize the benefit of the practice and also be able to differentiate between what is beneficial and what is not. So only this Saddha can lead you to the right path. And the second question was asked again, but what is the guide? What kind of guide would one use for a person who already possesses Saddha in order to abstain from unskillful deeds and follow the useful, beneficial path? And that question was answered by the Enlightened One as Panya. Panya will serve you as a guide. Panya will be a guide for a person who already possesses Saddha. Hence, the good and reliable guide is Panya, wisdom. At this stage, being able to distinguish between the beneficial and not otherwise beneficial and not beneficial deeds, the acts by thought, word and deed, that if understanding that such thoughts, word and deed are blameworthy, impure, gross, violent, and not desirable, then one should abstain from it. And being able to distinguish again that such a thought, word and deed are blameless, pure, and graceful, affable, then one follows this path, one practices this. In this way, one should be able to distinguish between these two things, what to abstain and what to observe. So, if one abstains from unskillful deeds, one will be free from harm. And if one follows or practices beneficial path, follow the beneficial path, one is bound to realize positive beneficial result. So for this you need Saddha as companion. So practically you abstain. By abstaining from what should be abstained, you are free from harm, you get good result. And by observing what should be observed, you get good result, and you are sure to get it. So this is based on Saddha as a companion. So this is what the Buddha answered briefly, which is though brief, it is very effective. And for us, we need to have Saddha as a companion and Panya as a guide in undertaking this practice, so that we are bound to get positive result. So although this Devata already knows the results of the benefits of this practice of having this Saddha as companion and Panya as a guide, this person, the Devata, again posed question to the Buddha. So the question was this: what kind of person, or by enjoying what, or by possessing what, should one be free from dukkha, suffering? So immediately one has this person, the Devata, who was asking the question to the Buddha, had already had this experience of having this Saddha as a companion. That means, and also the Panya as a guide, the discriminating wisdom as a guide, and was able to abstain from what should be abstained and observe what should be observed, observing beneficial path to get the beneficial benefit. And this Devata already was assured in his or her existence, because he or she understood already that the result of Saddha as companion, making Saddha as companion, and Panya as a guide. Though this person, this Devata, already knew this, he posed this question in order to confirm his or her, the Devada's belief. So the answer given by the Buddha was that making Saddha as a companion and Panya as a guide. Panya, which means a discriminating wisdom, being able to distinguish between good and bad, and what is beneficial and what is not, using this as a guide, and practicing, such as this practice of the way of mindfulness, and progressing through the different levels of insight knowledge until one reaches the maturity and be awakened to wisdom, Magga, path, and the fruit of liberation, and realize the real happiness. Then one will come to a definite decision, an acceptance, a resolution that this is it. This is the Dhamma. This is the real Dhamma. This is the real, genuine peace and happiness. This has led to genuine peace and happiness by realizing this knowledge of the path and the fruit. So then, if you realize this, the first path consciousness, at least you'll be free from the gross forms of kilesas and falling down into the states of loss. So this is what the Buddha answered as the Saddha as companion and Panya as a guide. One is bound to have this discriminating wisdom, being able to distinguish between what is good and bad, and one is bound to realize the positive benefits. So, since the Buddha has answered this question, it amounts to confirming what this Devada already knows, that this Saddha as companion and Panya as good, Panya as a guide, is bound to give the positive results. So the Devada was extremely delighted because the Devada's faith and belief was confirmed by the Buddha. Therefore, while we are all living in this Buddha's dispensation, with good opportunities, having good opportunities to be able to exist in this period of Buddha's dispensation, we should have Saddha as companion and Panya as guide, which is very important. These two things, the combination of these two are very crucial, and by having these two things, practicing these two things, we are bound to get positive results. So when we are living in a society, we have to rely upon one another, especially if we have reliable, faithful friends, then we can depend upon them, 1 or 2 persons or more. If we have such people, then we can depend upon them, so that we will be free from harm. And especially if we have to travel on a journey, unavoidable journey, which is full of harm, full of dangers, full of enemies, then we need these faithful, reliable friends or companions. Then we'll be free from harm. And samsara also, we are traversing the round of existence. And while we are traveling the rounds of existence, we need a reliable. There are many disturbances, many enemies, and we need a reliable friend in the form of Saddha to be able, as a companion, to be free from enemies, so that we can abstain from what should be abstained, so that there will be no harm come to us, and to observe what should be observed, so that we will be safe. So when we are devoid of companion, no companion, then we may be harmed by enemies, especially when we are alone. One person without a friend, without a companion, then we will be bullied by others. If we are lonely, we might entertain lots of variety of doubts. Then there will be a disturbance in the practice. Furthermore, there will be, if we are overcome by this certain torpor, sluggishness, not wishing to exert energy, slackness, laxity, and even if we exert energy, we get exhausted very soon. Then this will be a great disturbance, and also doubts as to this validity of the practice, whether it is okay or not. That kind of doubt also can enter one's stream of consciousness, so that one will not be able to exert one's energy. Then if we do not exert energy, we will become sluggish, and this will serve as a very close internal enemy in the practice of the high level discipline, so that it will not be worth undertaking this practice, because it will take 1 month, 2 months, and so on, and never get any progress, or results. So that when we are devoid of companion, we will be bullied by these near and close enemies. The yogis are bound to suffer in the practice. Therefore, this Saddha as a companion is very important. Hence this discourse, Sutta, on Saddha and Panya. Especially if one does not understand the value of the mental powers that we are applying, and one cannot appreciate the efficiency, the quality of mental powers, then there will be slackness. Some will not accept this concept, or it will not. One may not accept this concept at all. One accepts only when one appreciates the value of the application of these mental powers. Now, this jhanic factor of targeting one's noting mind to the object of attention, if one is not able to do so, then one is bound to be attacked by the 3 immoral thoughts, unwholesome thoughts, vitakas. That is kama vitaka, thought of sensual pleasures, thought of harm, jabada vitaka, and vihimsa vitaka, causing suffering. Jabada, ill will, thoughts of ill will, and vihimsa, thought of harming others. So these 3 immoral thoughts will enter one's stream of consciousness if one is not able to activate one's aim, one's noting mind to the object to be noted, which is a jhanic factor of targeting. So at least out of these 3 immoral thoughts, kama vitaka, jabada vitaka, and vihimsa vitaka, the first one, kama vitaka, thoughts of sensual pleasures, are bound to enter one stream of consciousness and bully our mind. So only when you are able to target our noting mind to the object concurrently, and only when we have this concept that this is something to be appreciated. If we only appreciate this value, then only one will try to connect one's noting mind with a noted object to be concurrent. And furthermore, this application of energy, exertion of energy, one must have this concept to appreciate the power, the quality of the exertion of energy. If we are slack, then we are accepting kilesas. All sorts of kilesas will attack our mind, so that will not be able to exert our energy, and there will be a lot of distractions. So we need to, if we don't accept this concept, the value of this application of energy as a means of not accepting kilesas, as a means of doing away with kilesas, or ridding our mind of kilesas, then we are bound to be attacked by these kilesas because we are slack, we are not exerting enough energy. So we should have faith in the power of this virya energy. As I said, to guard the mind all the time with vigilant mindfulness of every arising, so that kilesas will not enter our stream of consciousness all the time, every second of the practice, so as not to allow kilesas to enter. So one must accept and understand and appreciate the value of these mental powers in mindfulness. If there is no mindfulness, then kilesas are bound to enter. And as we have calculated, is in 1 minute, if we are not concurrent, then we are bound to be attacked by these kilesas 60 moments. And in 5 minutes, so there will be a big hole in our mind. There will be big, lots of enemies invading our mind. So because we are not able to sustain mindfulness, we cannot deepen our concentration, so that it amounts to not having good companion. We are free of companion, we are alone. When we are alone, we are bound to be bullied by these kilesa enemies. Kilesas are bound to surround us. So one must appreciate the value of this concentration, Khanika Samadhi, the power of Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, and only then we will take great care to cultivate this concentration. If we don't believe it, then the practice will not be effective. Therefore, saddha is the root cause of all these things. It is very important, especially to appreciate the value of mindfulness, the value of these application of these mental powers. So saddha, faith and confidence, is the root cause. So appreciating and cherishing the application of these mental powers in order to sustain your mindfulness with application of energy and precise aiming, so that kilesas will not enter your stream of consciousness, and may you be able to concentrate your mind and use this penya and be able to gain this penya as your guide. That's all for this evening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This evening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This evening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This evening.